Hi, welcome to another interesting geography class. My name is Sonia Ekeleme. Our theme for today's lesson is Environment and its Resources, and our topic for today, Climate 2, Part 2. Before we go into our lesson proper, let's take a look at the lesson objectives. By the end of this class, you should be able to locate and describe the distribution of the climatic types and identify and explain the characteristics of major climatic types. The different regions of the world experience different climatic conditions. These conditions are displayed as a result of certain elements that work together in different proportions. Also, the different climatic regions of the world also affect the distribution of plants and animals, thereby affecting the general ecosystem of the Earth. This means that the climatic condition of an area will determine the type of plants and animals that can be found in that area. The first image shows the distribution of different climatic regions of the world. From the image, we can see the lines of latitude that represent different climatic regions of the world. While this image is a climatic model of the Earth, from the image, the different colors represent different climatic regions of the Earth. Now let's take a look at the major climatic types that can be found on the Earth. There are 4 major climatic types or zones based on their latitudinal position, that is, their position on the Earth as relating to the equator. The 4 major types of climates include polar or cold climate, temperate climate, tropical climate, and arid climate. Now let's look at them one after the other. Polar climates are found in regions located at the North and South poles. The North Pole is known as the Arctic region, while the South Pole is known as the Antarctic region. Regions with polar climates cover about 20% of the Earth's area. The Arctic region, which is found at the North Pole, is located from the North Pole to the Arctic Circle, which is about 66.5 degrees north, while the Antarctic region is located from the South Pole to the Antarctic Circle, which is located at 66.5 degrees south of latitude. Polar climates can be found across the continents that border the Arctic Ocean, Greenland, and Antarctica. This is a map showing regions with polar climates. The areas colored blue on the map are areas that have polar climate, while this is an image showing how a polar region looks like. Having seen the meaning of polar climate, let's take a look at some key characteristics of polar climate. The first characteristic is temperature. Polar regions usually have low temperatures, which are usually less than 10 degrees Celsius or 50 degrees Fahrenheit. This is due to the fact that polar regions are the farthest from the sun. This is due to the Earth's tilt at 23.5 degrees, which makes them receive the least amount of sunlight every year. This low temperature leads to covering of snow and ice in polar regions. It was recorded that the Antarctica, which is found at the South Pole, has winter temperatures ranging from -128.6 degrees Fahrenheit or -89.2 degrees Celsius, which is the world's lowest recorded temperature, measured at Vostok Research Station, Russia, on July 21, 1983, to -76 degrees Fahrenheit or -60 degrees Celsius. Another characteristic of polar climate is its precipitation. In polar regions, annual rainfall is low, with a value of 10 to 15 centimeters. Snowstorms, also known as blizzards, are also common and frequent in polar regions. In polar regions, there are generally a lack of vegetation. This is because the area is usually covered with ice throughout the year. Another characteristic of polar climate is seasons. In polar regions, there are usually just 2 seasons, summer and winter. During summer, there is 24 hours daylight, while during winter, there is 24 hours darkness. There are two types of polar climates, namely tundra climate and ice cap climate. A tundra climate is usually characterized with a month of temperatures above 0 degrees Celsius. During this period, where there is a little temperature rise, plants like grasses and mosses can thrive. This is because during this period, the surface of the frozen soil is a little bit melted, making it possible for a little vegetation to thrive. While in the ice cap climate, there are no months with mean temperatures above 0 degrees Celsius. Now let's take a look at another type of climate, which is the temperate climate. The temperate climate occurs in regions found in the middle latitudes. Also, it lies at latitude 23.5 degrees to the polar circles to about 66.5 degrees north and south of the Earth. This is a map showing location of the temperate climate. From the map, regions colored green have temperate climates, while this other image shows an example of a region with temperate climate. Now let's take a look at the characteristics of temperate climates. Temperate climate regions usually have very wide temperature ranges. They have temperature ranges from above -3 degrees Celsius but below 18 degrees Celsius in the coldest months. Precipitation. Due to the fact that temperate regions have wide temperature ranges, precipitation is usually not on the extreme. There will be no periods of excessive rainfall or excessive snow. It is more like a balanced situation. Temperate regions usually have an average annual precipitation of 81 centimeters. Under vegetation, regions found in temperate climates have flourishing vegetation with the presence of both evergreen and deciduous forests. Evergreen forests contain trees that do not shed their leaves, while deciduous forests contain trees that shed their leaves during winter. Temperate regions experience the widest seasonal changes. Temperate regions have 4 distinct seasons: summer, autumn, winter, and spring. They are shown on the image on the screen. The tropical climate is located between and near the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn at 23.27 degrees north and south of the Earth. Tropical regions are close to the equator, hence they get enough amount of sunlight. Some examples of places with tropical climates are Nigeria, Singapore, Fiji, etc. This is a map showing regions with tropical climates. The areas colored blue all have tropical climates. These are images showing examples of regions with tropical climates. Now let's look at the characteristics of tropical climates. Temperature. In tropical regions, the mean average temperature is usually greater than 18 degrees Celsius all year round. Also, the temperature in tropical climates remains constantly hot all through the year. This is because of the locations of regions with tropical climates. Regions with tropical climates, like I said earlier, are located close to the equator, which makes them receive sunlight all through the year. Precipitation. The annual rainfall in tropical climate is usually greater than 150 centimeters. Vegetation. Due to the wide range of seasonal changes experienced in tropical climates, there's usually lots of different types of vegetation ranging from grasslands, savannas, rainforests, etc. The Amazon forest, which is found in the tropical region, is the largest in the world. Seasons. The tropical climate has only 2 seasons: the wet season and the dry season, which lasts for about 5 to 6 months. The wet season normally occurs at a period of high sun, which is from May through September in the northern hemisphere and from November to March in the southern hemisphere, while the dry season often occurs at a period of low sun from November to March in the northern hemisphere and from May to September in the southern hemisphere. The last major climatic type is the arid climate. Arid climates are also known as dry climates or subtropical climates. They cover about 20% of the world's land area. Regions with arid or dry climates are located within 15 degrees and 30 degrees north and south of the equator. This is a map showing the location of arid regions on Earth. From the map, the areas colored red represents regions with arid climates. Some examples of arid regions are the Sahara Desert found in North Africa, Namib and Kalahari Desert found in South Africa. Deserts are regions with arid or dry climates. Some characteristics of arid climates are 1. Temperature. Summer temperatures in arid climates are high, while winter temperatures are usually cooler and longer. Precipitation. Due to the evaporation rate exceeding the precipitation rate, there is usually a net moisture loss in the atmosphere of the arid climates. This leads to a situation where evaporation even occurs before rainfall reaches the ground. In arid or dry climates, rainfall patterns are usually irregular because there are several years of drought and just a single year of rainfall. Most deserts of the world receive between 25 and 200 millimeters of rainfall annually, which is very small. Humidity, which is the amount of moisture in form of water vapor in the atmosphere, is usually low in arid or dry climates. This is due to the excessively high temperatures and long hours of sunshine. In desert or dry climate regions, winds are usually dry, fast-blowing, and dusty. This is because there is usually a lack of vegetation in desert or dry climate regions. Lastly, soil and vegetation. The soils found in desert or dry climate regions are usually very loose, dry, and sandy. Also, due to the fact that desert regions have low humidity, there is usually an absence of precipitation, which hampers the growth of vegetation. In cases where little vegetation occurs, it only favors xerophytes. Xerophytes are drought-resistant plants. Some examples of xerophytes are cactus, date palms, thorny bushes, etc. Having seen the different climatic types, let's take a look at their locations on the Earth. This is a map showing different climatic regions of the world. From the map, areas colored green have tropical climates. Areas colored lemon have subtropical or arid climates. Areas colored blue have temperate climates, and areas colored purple have polar climates. All these regions have different latitudinal positions as related to the equator. We've come to the end of this lesson, but before we go, let's take a quick summary on what we learned during the lesson. We learned that the 4 major climatic types in the world are temperate, tropical, polar, and arid climates. We also learned that the different climatic types are located at different parts of the Earth. And lastly, we learned that they have their unique and different characteristics in terms of temperature, precipitation, vegetation, seasons, etc. Let's take a quick test to ascertain our level of understanding of the lesson. Question 1. Tropical climates are found A. At the poles, B. in the Arctic Circle, C. in regions close to the equator, or D. at the South Pole. The correct answer is C, in regions close to the equator. Question 2. Which of the climate type has the lowest temperature? A. Subtropical, B. Arid, C. Desert, or D. Polar? The correct answer is D. Polar. I believe by now you can locate and describe the distribution of the different climatic types and their characteristics. See you in our next class. Bye.